Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for December 4, 2023, partially burnt body found in Smokyville, St. Andrew. The body of a man was found in Smokyville, St. Andrew on Sunday morning. The body, which up to publication time was still unidentified, was partially burnt, the police said. It was reported that around 11 a.m., residents stumbled upon the partially decomposed body and summoned the police. On arrival, the body was seen lying face down along a dirt track. The body was observed to be partially burnt. The scene was processed and the body removed. More clarity needed for submission of statutory declarations, says Scott Mottley. Opposition Senator Donna Scott Mottley wants a greater clarity in the requirements for the submission of statutory declarations by public officials. Senator Scott Mottley says there have been several instances in which parliamentarians receive requests from the Integrity Commission for more information. The opposition senator believes a meeting with the Integrity Commission should remove any doubt as to what is to be included in the statutory declaration. There was some confusion, she said, about exactly what it is that you declare and exactly what value you declare, citing debate concerning what value is attributed to land as an example of the problem. In that regard, she said there is sometimes uncertainty about what value you attach to a property at the time of the declaration, whether it should be an estimate of what the land should be worth if it were to be sold at that particular time, in addition to the purchase price.
There is some discussion and some contention about exactly what it is you declare and exactly what value you declare. So what is market value? The publications of the last two leaders of opposition's declarations, Mr. Phillips and Mr. Golden, have sparked some discussion as to, but how come this value is attributed to land? And one of the things that we try to work through is what value are you to give at the time you make the declaration? Are you to do an estimation of what the land would be worth now if you sold it, in addition to the purchase price? I think that it's important that we get some clarification so that we don't have to go through the indignity of being told that we are not compliant.
Tougher penalties but low conviction rate will not solve a crime problem, says Chief Justice. Chief Justice Brian Sykes is warning that the tough new legislation being considered by Parliament for people involved in criminal activities will not solve the country's crime problem by itself. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has declared that harsher penalties for murder and other violent crimes will be introduced in the coming months. But Chief Justice Sykes, addressing the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce's annual banquet on Saturday, argued that harsher penalties will not solve the crisis. He disclosed that Jamaica has one of the lowest conviction rates in the region, adding that less than 30% of accused persons are convicted, either by a jury or a single judge hearing their case. An acceptable conviction rate is 60 to 80%, he said.
It is believed that it's a small percentage of people who are responsible for violent crime. That's a belief. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but that's a belief. So if you have a small number of persons responsible for violent crime, and within that number you have less than 30% being convicted, whether bench trial or jury trial, it suggests that there is a problem, a very serious problem. And so what this is really saying then is that draconian laws and harsh penalties by themselves will not produce the desired result of reducing crime by apprehending and convicting the perpetrators, for the simple reason that certainly in our case, it does not seem that we are catching and convicting sufficient numbers of them.
Jamaican family stabbed to death in Queen's home by relative. A Jamaican family of 4, including 2 children, ages 11 and 12, were stabbed to death in their Far Rockaway Queen's home early Sunday morning by a relative who was shot and killed by responding police officers. Courtney Gordon, the 38-year-old nephew of 61-year-old Christine Watson, who was injured in the incident, was shot dead by the police after they responded to a 911 call. He was shot after slashing one policeman and stabbing another. Police reports are that one of the responding officers managed to pull his firearm and shot Gordon, who had been leaving the house with a bag when he attacked the officers as they stopped him for questioning. Reports further indicated that the other police officers who responded to the scene were unable to enter the house as a fire had been set to a couch in the living room. The fire department responded and put out the blaze. On entering the home, police found the 11-year-old girl and the 12-year-old boy stabbed to death. Also stabbed and killed was a 44-year-old woman and a man in his 30s. None of them had up to press time been officially identified. Watson was taken to hospital. Gordon had previously faced domestic violence charges in the Bronx. The New York Daily News reported that his sister told the newspaper that he was taken into the Far Rockaway home by his aunt after he had become homeless. Reports reaching the news are that the police had been called to the home on a number of occasions due to disturbances there. Teacher goes a stressful 2 months without a salary amid pregnancy, back and forth over employment forms. A teacher who was pregnant and gave birth this past Saturday has accused the administrators at the Grateful Hill Primary School of bungling the hiring process, which has resulted in her not being paid for 2 months. In an interview with the news on Thursday, the grade 4 teacher, who asked that her name be withheld due to health concerns, said she applied for the position at the St. Catherine-based public school in late September, having lived overseas and recently returned to the island. She said after submitting the application, she was invited to an interview to which she brought documents she believed were relevant to the hiring process, although she said she had not been asked to do so. The teacher said she was hired on the spot and given 4 copies of a 503 form. The form captures the personal information of new teachers. They are also required to submit a client form with their banking details, copies of their national insurance scheme number, tax and registration number, a letter of assumption, which states that this person has taken up this position at this school beginning at this time, and a medical report. The teacher said she signed 4 copies of the 503 form and began working the same day she completed the interview. She said all of the documents she submitted were copied at the school's administration office except her qualifications and the birth certificate. She said she left the latter documents with the office but noted that they were returned to her a few days later without having been copied. She said she was told that at a later date they would ask her to resubmit them. When October came around, I was looking forward to getting something in my account, but I didn't see anything. I started questioning why it is that I submitted all my information and I didn't see any salary, the educator said. She said at that point she began inquiring of other teachers if they had been paid and only then found out that quite a few also had not been paid. She said this included some who had been hired earlier than she was. The teacher said her checks subsequently revealed that only 2 people from the group of new hires had been paid. I said, okay, maybe it is that the Ministry of Education hasn't processed my documents or whatever, she reasoned. She said she was called into a meeting the week of November 8 and told that she needed to submit additional documents. That is where she said she learned that the school did not submit to the ministry any of the documents she had previously provided. So I said that is why I haven't received any salary. I have been working here and the Ministry of Education doesn't know that I exist, she recalled. The teacher said she fell ill and was unable to deliver the documents required the following day as instructed. She was asked to submit a medical report and a marriage certificate, the latter of which she said she had already submitted. Her husband, who also spoke with the news, began dealing with the school as a result of his wife's ill health. He said a medical report could not be produced based on consultation with his wife's doctor, but that had one been requested at the initial point of hire, she would have been able to produce it. Her doctor had already granted her sick leave and noted that a medical would also reflect that, indicating that she would not be fit or healthy at that point. Each time she submits a document, they want her to run up and down and submit additional documents, he said, noting that it is costly to do so with the school being located in deep rural St. Catherine. He said she had submitted documents 3 separate times based on requests from the school. They are putting her under added stress to be running up and down and paying money. I think this is a vitriolic act. This is calculated to put her under stress. I can't come to any better conclusion than that, the man said. Added to that, the couple accused the principal of washing his hands of the situation, instructing that the teacher deal directly with the school's guidance counselor. The guidance counselor, also a new hire, was asked to be mediator. The environment is toxic, the teacher claimed, adding that the guidance counselor should not have been instructed to handle a confidential matter. Once you begin to ask about your salary, it is a challenge. I remember asking him in the interview, "What will my salary be at the end of the month?" And up to this day, I do not have an answer, she said. She said she was told that she would have to check the teacher salary scale because it was not clear given the government's compensation review exercise. It's ridiculous and very unprofessional, she said. But the school principal, George Moody, has countered the teacher's story, insisting that she did not make it known that she was pregnant until she was confronted. Still, he said the teacher, a former student of his who he taught at Glengough High School, was hired. He said the teacher was employed on September 26, but failed to submit all required documents, which has resulted in the delay in processing her salary. We tried our best. The ministry has been trying its best to accommodate her. They asked her for a medical certificate. The fault is theirs, he asserted, referring to the teacher and her husband. Moody also said that the 503 form had not been properly completed and was as a result submitted to the ministry only last week. I even told her, based on how we employed you, you're not even due for maternity leave, but we will work things out. So we're trying our best. It's all about aiding and assisting people, he said. Section 65(2) of the Education Regulations outlines that a teacher who is permanently employed may be granted maternity leave without completing the qualifying period. Further, Moody denied the claim that other teachers had not been paid. It's not true. It is a case that we are waiting on her, he said.
Audio